There's never been a better time to have SiriusXM. With even more exclusive content, with over 150 channels in your vehicle, including the widest, deepest variety of music, ad-free. Root for your team. Get news. Listen to whatever makes you laugh. And hear all about your favorite stars. Your Platinum Plan offer includes more than ever before to enjoy online, on your phone, or at home. Create your own ad-free personalized stations powered by Pandora. Hear ad-free extra channels filled with music and enjoy favorite shows with SiriusXM Video. Thousands of hours of shows and performances on demand. What you love is on now.
Every once in a while, some big news comes across the industry when it comes to car audio. And of course, today we're talking about Mosconi on this showcase, but they've got a trick up their sleeve and a big announcement that has to do with an old school kind of technology, but used in a whole new way. Anyhow, stick around. We've got specialist Nick Wingate in the house to tell us all about it, along with a special guest and Chris Pate from MTI, also in the studio. It's a star-studded cast today, guys. Don't go away. This is CMA Showcase Mosconi, and it starts now. Hey guys, thanks for tuning in to another CMA Showcase presented by SiriusXM. I'm your host, Ben Wu. And on this edition, we've got Italian amplifier manufacturer Mosconi on the menu. And they've got some big news and big news indeed. But before we get to that, let's go ahead and introduce our Canadian distributor for the Mosconi brand here in Canada. That is, of course, Trends Electronics and their sales manager, Mr. Grant McFadder.
Good afternoon, Ben.
What's going on, Mr. McFadder?
Well, apparently with the all-star stars, all easy for me to say, all-star cast, Wingate and Pate, you don't need me on here. So
I really don't, but we're doing this out of courtesy, as you know.
That's nice of you. Thanks.
I'm not kidding. I'm having a hard time containing myself. This is exciting news because it's not every day that this type of news comes across. You know, car audio is not new by any means. So to hear that there's some exciting new technology or somehow somebody figured something out is exciting news. Would you not agree?
Yeah, I've heard some chatter about this for a little while back, but probably about 3 months or so, maybe less. So finally see it coming to fruition is nice to see and coming real soon.
Well, I'll tell you what, let's back up real quick. So for dealers to understand, Mosconi, within the Trends lineup, you guys got a lot of different brands, different products. Help us understand where it fits within, your catalog and your offering.
Well, I mean, as far as an audiophile grade or a premier brand of amplifiers, it's number one. I mean, for us, it is our flagship amplifier brand. We're strong in the marine market, obviously, with Wet Sounds and Exile and stuff like that. But this is, for DSP, which we're not talking about today, but DSP, it's super important. And, as far as amplifiers go, it's the Pro Series and Pico that pretty much we're doing a ton of volume with. So,
absolutely. And let's be honest, I think I've made the remarks before, probably one of the sexiest amplifiers in the market, that Pro Series, I tell you. Those red fans, ooh, absolutely sexy. Okay, let me ask you, you know what I think, Grant, but what about you? What do you love most about Mosconi products?
Well, I mean, the quality of the build is huge. The sound quality is awesome. And they're probably one of the sexiest looking amplifiers out there. And, I think I have a few pictures to show you why. They're not just, they are pretty sexy looking. Even you say it like, Ben.
I do. They sound great. And
red fans.
The design is super nice. Okay. Yeah. Listen, people didn't come on here to just hear me and you chat. There is a new player in the lineup. There's been a lot of chatter online about it. We've got this little video that I found off YouTube. I'm going to play it now to kind of set the mood. And then when I come back, we're going to talk about it. And we're going to get Mr. Wingate on here to explain himself of what's going on. Let's go ahead and roll that tape.
All right.
Try to make a very long story short. Behind Pro 430 there is a very simple concept. getting around the major issues of power MOSFETs and try to let them play music like something between BJTs and tubes, you know? It seems quite simple by words, but trust me when I say that it's very, very hard to achieve by facts. Follow me, please.
Oh my God, Filippo, build this amp.
Well, bro,
This is absolutely amazing.
you know?
I have goosebumps. I have tears in my eyes.
Behind Pro 430 there is a very simple concept.
It's fantastic. Build this amp, please build it.
It seems quite simple by words, but trust me when I say that it's very, very hard to achieve by facts.
So it didn't tell us a whole lot, but obviously there was a lot of passion behind that dialogue, and there was a challenge that was put forth. And apparently it would appear, and this is just me assuming, that this challenge has been met. Grant, did you get anything more than that from there?
Not from that video, but I know, yeah, it's been met.
It's been fair enough. All right. Without further ado, we would like to bring to the studio again for I don't know how many times he's been on, and we love it every time. Product trainer for Orca and for Mosconi, Mr. Nick Wingate. Let's see if we can't get to the bottom of this. Hello, Nick. How are you, sir?
I'm fine, sir. How are you?
I'm giddy. I'm giddy because there's new product in the air, and we love talking about new product. And this video that you provided me told me things and absolutely told me nothing at the same time. So I appreciate the riddle in the video. Thank you so much. So let's get let me understand this properly. Let's set the tone a little bit of what we're about to discuss today, Nick. This Pro 430 is a new amplifier within the Pro Series lineup of Mosconi. That much I understood. Did I get that right?
You are correct.
Okay. By the moniker of 430, I'm going to guess that this is a 4-channel that we're talking about.
That is correct.
That is also correct.
Yes.
However, I did notice some difference just from what the remarks he was saying about the challenge of the MOSFETs and so on and so forth. I'm going to let you get into that. What can you preface us, and why is this such an important leap for Mosconi at this stage in time?
Well, you know, Mosconi has traditionally, ever since inception, back in 2010, they have wanted to build a better sounding amplifier. And by sounding, I mean what they're trying to accomplish is bringing high-end home audio sound to car audio. And now that's way easier said than done, you know, because in home audio, you've got 110 volts, 220 volts here in the United States that you can utilize. And that makes a big difference when you have that kind of voltage. But what Filippo has done with the Pro series of amps is amazing. I mean, here they are. I mean, you take a look at the Pro 410. It's a very small chassis amplifier, produces 120 watts a channel. With that kind of power, that kind of headroom, and that kind of dynamics, and it has all the characteristics that you would want in a $3,000 or $4,000 amplifier, and it's $1,000 retail here in the U.S. That's a huge accomplishment, especially in a small chassis, in a small format, and it's a Class AB amplifier. You don't normally think a small footprint amplifier and Class AB. They just don't go together, but he's done it. And they're pushing the envelope, and that's what they do.
Can we establish this Filippo gentleman? What is his role within the company?
He is one of the chief design engineers for the amplifiers.
Okay. And he is the one responsible behind this new amplifier that we'll be discussing.
Yes, this is his baby.
All right. And who did we hear in that video say that it was just amazing and so on and so forth?
That is Frank Maquetta. He is one of the chief engineers for Gladen Audio, which is one of the companies that, you know, works with Mosconi. They are the distributor for Mosconi around the world, as a matter of fact. And they work hand in hand together. Frank is one of the best DSP engineers out there right now. And to see Frank get this emotional, that tells me a lot. That's all I had to see, because Frank doesn't get emotional about anything.
Gotcha. Fair enough.
And so,
okay.
Yes, to see Frank saying he's got tears in his eyes and he's got goosebumps, I went, okay, this is different.
This is worthwhile. Let's find out what this is all about. So my last question about that video, can you expand on what he was referring to about the challenge with the MOSFETs?
Yeah, MOSFETs traditionally don't sound that good. And you have to work around that problem, which, because there's everybody, we've all heard amplifiers, and we know the amplifiers out there that use bipolar transistors versus MOSFETs. An awful lot of people like bipolars, and with good reason, because they are musical, they sound really good. MOSFETs are hardier, they'll last longer, and they produce more power, but traditionally they haven't sounded as good, unquote, as bipolar or even tubes, for that matter of fact. So to hear them using MOSFETs and getting this kind of sound out of it is pretty amazing. So
it sounds like they've engineered a way to extract a more natural, more tube-like sound out of MOSFETs.
That's exactly.
Now I'm just reaching here. I'm just reaching based on that video.
You are exactly correct. That is my understanding. That's what this was all about.
Okay. Well, on that note, Grant, I know that you've prepared a little something that I haven't even seen yet, so I'm excited to see what this is all about. And you've got the right gentleman right here with you to kind of tag team with you to present. Guys, I'm going to go ahead and give you the stage and let us know what this is all about. And of course, when we come back, I'll have some questions, and we'll also have Chris come in and chime in and see what he thinks about all this. So without further ado.
I put a few slides up here just to show some of the viewers and stuff like that, and where my experience was with Mosconi before we took it on as a distributor is looking at it in these types of builds. It's obviously associated with some of the best brands on the planet, and I'm okay being associated with brands like JL Audio and Focal and Illusion Audio and the such, right? So yeah, I just put a few slides together. You see, there's a JL W7 in here with some pro amplifiers. There's a bunch of A-class or AS amplifiers in there, and the top little window is the Focal cross block. So obviously you've got a $6,000-7,000 set of speakers in there in that vehicle. Just some of the nicest builds. They're going in. There's one on the right there is going in a McLaren, obviously. I think that's Nalika's car in the bottom left and his Porsche. But just some of the nicest builds, and these guys that are building these type of systems, they can use any amplifiers they want, and as you can see, they're using Mosconi, which is what we'd love to see. There's a Matt Schaefer build there on the left, and some other ones I just found online. But typically really, really nice high-end installs, and they're using these amps for a reason, because they sound good, they perform good, and that's what they believe that vehicle system design deserves, was a high-end quality product like that. And that's exactly what leads us into this new beast, we'll call it, because it's a lot of power, and that's a 4-channel amplifier, and it's kind of the opposite of the 410. It's not dainty in size, but it's also not massive for what you're getting. So I'll let Mr. Wingate take it away, because he knows more about this than I do. I just haven't seen some pictures, but I got some interior shots here. And yeah, first thing about this that you'll see is there's only 100 available of these for North America because of the shortage of chips and different parts. This is 100 for the entire continent of North America. So this is going to be very limited in demand, limited in supply, at least this year. Hopefully not much longer.
No, let's hope not. Yeah. If you take a look at this photograph, if you know amplifiers and you look at this and you go, where is everything? What happened? This doesn't look like much at all. Well, there's a reason behind this, and I go back to my years in home audio. A man that I respect immensely, his name is Mr. Dan DiAgostino. And he is the gentleman that founded a company known as Krell. And if you understand Krell home electronics, Krell amplifiers were known as some of the best, most powerful amplifiers on the market. And they still are, for that matter of fact. And I had an opportunity to sit and talk with Dan one day at CES. And he told me that his philosophy has always been minimum parts is best. Because point A to point Z, you are sending an electrical signal from input to output. And he told me, he said, if you see an amplifier that's got 22,562 parts in it, they are hiding something. Something is wrong, and they're trying to correct it. Because when you see that many parts, that many capacitors, that many resistors, it changes the phasing every time it rotates through a capacitor and or resistor, which makes sense to me. You know, and so when you see this design, and it's a minimalist parts approach, you can look at it right there and you can tell there's not 22,000 parts. It's a statement. It's like, okay, this amp is built for one thing and one thing only, to sound as good as it possibly can. And from everything that I have heard from people I trust in Europe that have actually heard this thing, this is different. It is completely different. And yes, Filippo is a huge fan of Star Trek, as you can tell. Every letter I get from him, he says, live long and prosper. So I think it's funny that he added that into it. But it is 4 channels. We just got the specs on the amplifier today. I'm actually you're going to forgive me if I read this off, but we just literally got this. The power supply, the voltage input is 10 volts to 16 volts. It is 170 watts channel by 4 at 4 ohms. It is 225 watts channel by 4 at 2 ohms. You can bridge the amp to 2 channels. It's 450 watts at 4 ohms. Okay. Now, with that being said, let me explain a little bit more about this amp. The goal on this was to have the amplifier sound like tubes and have the harmonic balance, it's called the harmonious balance of the bipolar transistor outputs. And we all know about that, but to have the power of MOSFETs. In other words, this is the best of everything. Now, this is a Class A/Class AB operation amplifier. And I'm going to be honest with everybody, I've not heard this yet, but from what I understand, how this thing works is the first 30 watts, no matter the frequency response, this thing operates in pure Class A. Then as demand voltage as signal becomes more demanding, it slides towards Class AB operation. Now, that doesn't mean it switches. It doesn't switch. It slides. And this is what they're telling me, is that it literally will go back and forth between Class A and Class AB operation. And this is one of the reasons why it sounds the way it does. And as you can see, it's got a ton of output devices and an awful lot of MOSFETs on this. And Filippo overcame the challenge of to overcome the drawbacks of MOSFETs because, as he says, they don't sound that great. But because of the characteristics that they do exhibit, these things can and they do sound fantastic. I mean, he's using some of them in some of these pro amps that he's built. So he's really, really happy with it. He's really proud of it. One of the things that he did tell me is if you're looking for an amplifier that is going to be extremely efficient, like Class D, this is not your amplifier. Okay, it's power hungry. Understand, to get this kind of sound, it's power hungry. If you're looking for an amplifier that is going to have a total harmonic distortion of 0.000 whatever, this is not your amplifier. As he said, this is not about numbers. This is not hooking it up to an audio precision and going, ooh, look at the pretty numbers this gives you. No. But he said, if you're looking for an amplifier, I'm going to read this quote. If you're looking for an amplifier that literally leaves you breathless and makes the hairs on your arm stand up, then this is the amp for you. Because this amp was designed to throw your senses, to give you goosebumps when you listen to music. And this is designed to bring out the deepest emotions of your listening session and listening to your music. That's a hell of a statement. That is a bold statement to make on a 12-volt amplifier. But given Frank Macchetta's reaction, and again, Frank is about as deadpan straight, and I love Frank. He's a great guy. He's become a really good friend. Frank never gets emotional. And for him to get emotional like this, and he tells me, you have got to hear this. It sounds like tubes in a car with that kind of a sound stage, that kind of depth, width, height, three-dimensionality, with that kind of timbre, with that kind of presence. We just don't get that in car audio. I mean, the last time I heard that in a car was when a friend of mine won a world championship with a pair of tube amplifiers in the car. And they were huge. They were only 30 watts. They were enormous. They pulled a ton of current, and you couldn't drive down the highway listening to them because the amplifiers were so doggone big. I mean, it was a trailer queen. But here we are. Here's an amplifier designed to do just that. And I am gnawing at the bits to get my hands on them. I've already put my name on 2 of them. I'm pulling the amps out of my truck, and I'm putting these things in as soon as they get here. You hear me, Nalika? Because I know you're watching this.
98 left. 98 bottles of beer on the wall.
No, I think Chris has ordered 6 or 8. We'll get him, and I'll ask him in a minute how many he's ordered. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. This is something new, something different. I cannot say enough about what we are anticipating from this amplifier. And I understand that there's a really good chance that this circuit design is going to be the basis for everything else coming down the pipe. So, yeah, I'm excited. Should be a lot of fun to hear of these.
I saw the one slide here. It's got 150 amp onboard fusing. So yeah, this is not for your Honda Civic with your 90 amp alternator stock.
Yeah. When you've got an amplifier that's, basically 800 watts, 840 watts, and it's got 150 amp fuse. Yeah, this is going to pull a lot of current. But in order to get what this thing does, I understand it's got to have it. It's got to pull it.
And that just kind of rounds out the rest of the lineup. We've had the Pro 530 for a while. We've had the Pro 410 and the 210 and the 110 for the last year and a bit. This thing just seems to kind of round out the entire lineup now as something a little different. Yeah, maybe you don't want that stagger power. You want that really good high-end front end. Then the 430s, which to my understanding is the same chassis size as the 530, correct? It's a 30 chassis.
Yes, it is the exact same chassis size.
So same chassis as a 530.
Yeah.
And the same price.
Yeah, and it's the same price.
Retail price. Yeah.
I foresee a number of people getting 3 of these and using them, as front stage, rear stage, fully active. I can see this coming in a huge hurry. So it's going to be a lot.
Yeah, they're going to sell out. The 100 pieces won't last very long.
No, I'll be amazed if we have them, if we still have any in stock by the end of July.
The other thing I wanted to touch on that's new and coming as well, aside from this product here, is the Sound Up products that they've got coming, and more specifically, they've got BMW and they've got Mercedes and stuff already, but more specifically for, especially North America, we can't seem to not see these things on the road, is the Tesla product. So tell us what you know.
Well, they are done. From what I understand, they have finished their harnesses for all of the Teslas. These harnesses are designed specifically to plug directly into the factory wiring harness off of the amplifiers. You're going to be able to actually plug directly into the system, and you will plug directly into amplifiers. Specifically, you'll be able to plug directly into the 8 to 10 DSP, the 6 to 8, 8 to 10 Pico DSP, the 6 to 8 Pico DSP as well. You will also be able to plug directly into an H12 aerospace and a 6 to 8 aerospace, as you can see from this picture right here. And you're going to not have to do a doggone thing except hook the speakers up. It's literally that simple. They're working right now, from what I understand, they're working on solutions to where if you will let them know that if you have a Gladen system that you have put into the car, let's say, like the plug and play BMW kits or the plug and play Mercedes kits. And you also can do the Tesla cars as well. What you're going to be able to do is you're going to be able to download a tune directly to that DSP from the factory, from Gladen, and the car is going to be tuned. Yeah, that's what's exciting about this. It will be completely tuned. All the crossover points we set, your delays will be set. You're gonna, yeah. I mean, I am really excited about this because, I mean, let's face it, everybody does not want to work on these cars. They're frightened of them with good reason, and making this as simple as possible, I think that is a godsend for the industry. Because let's face it, you know, how many people have had wires cut on their cars, not just Teslas, but BMWs, Mercedes, Volvos, you know, the European cars, and something electric goes wrong and they blame somebody cutting a wire in the car and installing an aftermarket system, whether it's BMW, Mercedes, whoever. So having something like this that actually uses the factory plugs and you don't lose any function of the car, that's amazing to me. And we're going to be able to plug directly into the DSP amplifiers. And yeah, I mean, Grant, what do you think?
There is one disclaimer we should make on the Tesla one that I'm aware of. Some of the newer Teslas that are being built are going to come with an 18 volt power supply in their vehicle, charging system.
They are working.
So as you may know, a lot of amplifiers aren't going to like 18 volts. So
they are working on a solution as we speak.
Yeah. So from a dealer standpoint, when you do get these cars in your showroom, make sure you test the voltage first before you go ahead. My understanding is the harnesses for the 14.4 and the 18 volt systems are exactly the same, but the pinout is different. So you don't want to be taking an 18 volt vehicle and putting in the 14.4 volt harness for it, because
no, let's not do that, Joe. That would be bad.
Make sure you test your voltage on your car.
Yes, please. Yeah. I know that they have thought about building different amplifiers that'll accept 18 volts, or, you know, we've made the suggestion just to do a step down transform. You know, go from 18 volts down to 14.4, and in line, just plug it in line and let's go. So I don't know which way they're going to go, but I do know that one or the other is going to take place, and it's going to happen really, really quickly.
And they are making, Mosconi guys are making 18 volt amplifiers, and those will be coming shortly, I would imagine, too.
There are 24 volt amplifiers already made. They have them in Europe because there's some 24 volt systems in Europe. So yeah, I mean, it's just a matter of them just changing some circuitry, and yeah, it'll be here. I think in the very near future, we're going to see more and more cars going to 18 and 24 volt systems. I would be surprised if we don't, especially when we're talking about as many cars as has been mandated in Europe that have to be electric, all electric. They're going to switch to the 18 volt or 24 volt system. So we're going to see this in a hurry. I know everybody doesn't like to hear that, but it's just the God's honest truth. You know, something else for us to have to learn to work with. Oh, great.
Yep. Fun stuff.
Yeah, well, it is what it is. You know, we just, it's the never ending battle between us and the OEM manufacturers. Praise the Lord.
Battle? It's a relationship. What are you talking about?
No, it's not. You and I both know it's not.
Nick, I got to ask 2-3 things before I let you go, before we get to the next part of our conversation here and bring our special guest on. Just real quick on the Tesla stuff. Mm-hmm. So how many different models? Do we know how many models? Does that cover the X? Does it cover all the Tesla models?
All of them.
Okay. And this is true plug and play, ready to go, pre-tuned. So we're talking about repeatable results every single time.
Yes, you will have repeatable results every time. Once they get through with all the tunes, it will be available online, and all you have to do is go into the Sound Up part of the DSP processor, download it. You're going to be good to go.
Okay. I'm going to save a lot of our banter about the amplifier a little bit later on, but I do have one thing to say. I have never seen Nick Wingate this excited about any product. So for you to tell me you're about to rip up your truck and order 2 of these things has got me excited, because you're excited and it's infectious. So I'm very excited about how this is going to, what these amps can do.
Well, you know, my roots go back to home audio and playing drums and playing guitar, kind of, sort of. You know, and when you're, and Chris will tell you this, when you're playing guitar and you roll through a tube amp, you know, there's nothing like it. There's a sound that you're looking for.
I just can't do transistor. It has to be tube. Not even hybrid. It's got to be full tube.
And that's me. I mean, I'm saving all of my lunch money that my wife allows me to have, quote unquote. I'm kidding. I'm literally saving money up because there's a tube amplifier I want for my home system.
Oh,
and it ain't cheap.
It never is. It never is. Guys, listen, thank you so much for now. Thank you for the dialogue, the presentation. We're going to go ahead and take a quick break. That video that Grant mentioned, you guys want to see details? Here it goes. We're going to roll the tape. When I come back, we're going to get Chris Pate from MTI Acoustics on here. My next guest is certainly no stranger, or well, let's just say he's one of the most popular people in the industry for many, many different reasons, whether it's his shop or his incredible custom boxes that he does for trucks, or the fact, all the work he does in fabrication and being involved in events and just being an ambassador to the industry. Chris Pate is certainly no stranger. So it was important to get him on because I want to pick his brain, Mr. Pate, about Mosconi amplifiers and your opinion on how they work. So thank you for taking the time to join us today. Oh, we lost your microphone. Hello. Chris, can you, I think you might have muted your volume. Let's go ahead and turn that back.
Oh,
hello? There you are. How are you, sir?
Perfect.
Thank you for taking the time to join us today, I was saying.
Cool. So Mosconi,
I worked really hard on that intro, by the way. I hope you appreciate
that's cool.
That.
I like that. That's really nice. Well,
all right, let's get down to business. Listen, I know you're busy, but here's what we want to get down to. You, sir, have literally access to every brand on the planet, and I'm sure every brand on the planet would love for you to use their equipment and sell it and build crazy projects with it. So we know that there's an affinity for Mosconi amps. We've seen it in the builds that you do. So of all the brands that you have access to, why Mosconi? Why do you keep going back to this brand for amplification?
You know, other than it's Nalika's birthday every day of the week. No, I'm kidding. So dollar for dollar, if you're gonna, I mean, we've had everything under the sun, and I have probably one of the better collections of high-end amplifiers out there. I believe that we're probably one of the few groups or shops that's tested just about everything there is to offer, from, you know, bespoke custom built amplifiers to, you know, the stuff that's more mass produced high-end stuff. And dollar for watt and dollar for size, you get the best amplifier out of Mosconi. You know, the Pro amps especially is our favorite amp. We sell a bunch of them, and not just because of selling them. We can sell anything we want, you know, especially to a lot of our high-end clients. A lot of these jobs that we are shipped, these clients never visit us. They don't show up. They buy what we tell them to buy. And the fact of the matter is, with the sound and the installation options and the ability to do the things we're able to do with the Mosconi Pro amp, it's for us, it's very simple. At the price point that you pay for, you know, a Pro Series amplifier, you know, you'd have to go up to something that's 3 or 4 times the price, in my opinion, to get something that's slightly better. And I do stress slightly. And most clients would be hard pressed to ever tell a difference. You have to get somebody with a trained ear that really knows what they're doing to really hear the difference. I've got, everything from audio wave to, Brax Helix to everything under the sun, True Technologies. And they're all phenomenal amplifiers, absolutely great amplifiers, but they all cost 3, 4, 5, 6 times the price. Mm-hmm. Sometimes more than that. I think the audio waves are 8 or 9 times the price. So, and I'm a fan of high-end amplifiers and high-end audio, and it's my life, and both in home and car and guitars, and dollar for dollar, the Mosconi Pro amps are the best amplifier out there, hands down, at that price.
So value is a major thing when it comes to these amplifiers, from what you're telling me, Chris. But are there certain physical characteristics that really make them stand out at that price point?
It is. Now, of course, not even getting into the 430 yet, but especially in the 410 and the 210, you get an amplifier that's really quite small. And for us, we do a lot of trucks, and we kind of feel like we've kind of pushed the whole, monoblock or monoing out amplifiers and putting big power on your front stage. And we felt like we've kind of helped pioneer that a little bit here recently, or push it more recently, than what's been done, the last few years. And using those amplifiers has really allowed us to do that, to put big power on a front end and a front stage, because they don't take up a lot of space. And so I can put 9 amplifiers or 12 amplifiers on the back wall of a Ford truck. Yeah,
so that's the one I was referring to. I was thinking about that while you were saying it. Now, in that situation there, you're using a mono amp per sub, or is it per channel? What was the setup there?
So in those builds there, we're monoing out. We're using usually 210s and 110s. So we use 210s on the 3s and the 5WMs and the TBMs. We're using 110s on mid bass and sub drivers. Power is everything. I'm hanging out with Nick, our good buddy Doug Winker, and with Gary Biggs and some others. Power, having lots of power is the end all be all. If you want to play a system loud, it needs power, and it needs a lot of it. The common misconception is if you put a 300 watt amp on a tweeter that you're going to send 300 watts to it. Fact of the matter is you're not. It doesn't play the bandwidth to do 300 watts. It never does. You're lucky.
We want the headroom.
Do what?
Right. And we want the headroom, right? The headroom is
you want the headroom. So, and so that's what that allows you to do is headroom and control. When you ask an amp to not do a whole lot, you can get a lot out of it. You can get a lot of detail out of it. You can get a lot of sonic purity. So that's ultimately why we like the Mosconi product, is it allows us the ability to do all that and in a small footprint.
So I mean, there's 2 types of dealers out there. There are dealers that already play in that higher end realm of amplifiers and gear, and there's other dealers that haven't but want to step up their game and kind of get inspired by shops like yourselves. What recommendation do you have for dealers that might be looking at Mosconi and taking that amp on, that might prove beneficial to them, for them to know?
Get a few of the pieces in and put it on the board next to your other product and give it an honest listen. And if you don't get it, or you can't understand it, take a trip to kind of College Station. We've got everything on, every high-end amp just about you want on display, and take a listen. And so ultimately, I don't want it to be misconstrued. I'm not sitting here saying that if you buy a more expensive amplifier that it didn't sound better. That's not what I'm saying. I can tell you right now, I can tell you some amps that sound unbelievable, that are even above these, but you're going to pay 6, 7, 8 times the price for that amplifier. And that's how high end is. So what I'm saying is at the price point, there's not a better sounding amplifier. It's just a phenomenal piece. And so, but to get that, you got to sit down, you got to listen to it. And you've got to know how to tune a system. You got to know how to and really, just setting up an amplifier correctly. And that is one of the cool features about Pro amps, is having their DSP Direct feature. You take that, you engage the DSP Direct feature, and now you're bypassing the front preamp circuit.
Ah, interesting. Yes.
So really cool is it does make for a cleaner sounding amplifier. What's really cool is that it takes the gain setting away from the installer, which is kind of handy in some shops cases. So it seems to be a huge, I mean, I'm making a joke, but it's a huge problem that we have within our industry, is guys being able to set gains correctly. That's why you see amps from JL Audio that have a light, and amps from Kicker that have lights on them that indicate when they're seeing distortion or when they're clipping. So it's easier for installers to set the gain on that amplifier without tearing up the speakers. So this takes some of that out of the way of the installer, but it also allows you to run a cleaner signal in. You're bypassing the preamp circuit, and you're running straight out of the processor into that. That's the reason it's called DSP Direct. And that's one of the really neat features about Mosconi Pro amps that sets them apart as well. So
very, very cool. Chris, thank you for all that insight. You answered every single question perfectly and with with purpose, and that's what we want to hear, because I think the most important part is you guys, you're putting this stuff in each and every day. You see the ups, you see the downs, and again, you have selection. So it's great that you were able to share with us a couple of the details that make your decision what it is with Mosconi. So thank you for that. All right, we're going to go ahead and bring back our esteemed guests, both in Grant McFadder as well as Nate. Not Nate, what am I saying? As well as Nick. And finally, I'm going to ask the questions I really wanted to ask before about this new amplifier that's got Nick in a mess. Let's go ahead and bring these guys back and talk about it. Nick, Chris, Grant, thank you for staying with us this long. Now, I'm going to go ahead and ask Chris first, because I didn't get a chance to ask him before. What do you think? First of all, is it true that you already ordered some of these amplifiers without listening to them?
we have 10 that are shipping out as soon as they land. We'll have the first entry. So yeah,
Okay.
we ordered 1/10 of the entire allotment for this year. Or
beautiful. And why is that? Was that just simply because you're a collector, or you're like, no, I understand what they're trying to do here and I want it? Like, what is the motivation behind this?
Number one, we know we'll sell them. That's it. I'm not collecting them by any stretch.
Okay.
We know we'll sell them. We have builds that we can use them on already. And so for us, the ability, if and I say if in a lighthearted way, because I know when Mosconi debuts a product, it's going to be right. It's going to make our job a little easier. If I can use that amp instead of putting 2 or 3 amps in its place, it makes the install easier for our guys. So for us, and have something that's that much, that much power is great. Because ultimately, as much as I'm a sound cue guy, I mean, I'm a rock and roll metalhead guy at heart, and I like to play my music loud. And touring musician still to this day, and play guitar and sing. And I can tell you, I like my music loud. And that's what we give to our clients, is they want something that jams. And this amp will allow you to do that cleanly, and that's exciting to us. And of course, the Pro amps have always had a warmer sound that is kind of lean towards tube. I think the very first time we heard the Pro 530s at CES when we debuted them in the booth, Nick both said the same thing, that it was a much warmer sound, and it felt what they were trying to do. So from that standpoint, this being a progression more towards the tube sound for us is a big deal, because we're both tube guys. So
I'm going to comment on that. You said you're a musician. So when you're talking your guitar amplification, what is your choice?
I have a Houston Kettner Triamp. So if you're familiar with guitars.
Oh, I am. Absolutely.
Actually, it was actually Clint Lowry's from Seven Dust. So
nice.
Yeah.
And you're running that on a V&K cab as well?
No, I've got a
you mix and match. You're mixing.
I've got a Diamond 412 cab, and
okay, so fair enough.
Diamond is out of Houston, and whenever we were touring, we used to be sponsored by Diamond. So I also have a couple Diamond heads as well. I have a couple Phantoms that I had from back. Are they too?
I'm going to assume they're full tube as
well.
Full tube. All right. Crazy shortage on tubes these days. By the way,
that's it is. Conversation. I need to retube my Houston Kettner, and I haven't yet. So
yeah, exactly. Okay, so the reason I brought that up is you're a musician, you're listening to tubes. I know exactly what you're talking. I have the same. I don't have that crazy setup, but I have a tube setup as well.
Yeah,
and you cannot, once you have that, you always want it. So if these are the type of amplifiers that can come as close as possible to that kind of sound, I can certainly see the allure. And it sounds like Mr. Pate also sees that kind of allure. Nick, can you comment on what Chris just said, please? Is this what you expect to hear from guys?
Oh,
like this?
I have no doubt. I know that Filippo has been trying for years to get this sound. He has said that the musicality and as he says it, the euphonic experience of tubes in the right settings and with the right speakers, there's nothing like it. And is it going to be again the lowest distortion amplifier on the planet? No, it's not, because that's not what tubes do. And he's designed this amplifier. And again, I don't know how he's done it. I'm dying for us to get it here so we can figure this out. But from what I understand, he has a feedback circuit on every single MOSFET on the output stages. And then I don't know why he's done it. I've never heard of it being done, but I suspect it's got something to do with the harmonic distortion off of the MOSFETs. That's the only thing I can come up with. I may be wrong, but it sounds to me like that's got something to do with how this amplifier sounds.
So Chris, question for you from a system build design standpoint. Are you looking at this amplifier as front stage only, or are you thinking building full systems with this type of amplifier?
Should be able to do full systems with it. It should have. It looks like the amp has enough onboard capacitance to run subs. So I don't see any reason why you wouldn't be able to do a full system. So
yeah.
Okay, and based on the design from what you've seen so far, Nick, would you agree with that?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if I remember correctly, yeah, we can bridge it to 450 watts channel at 4 ohms. So yeah, you can run subs on this without a problem. As long as they're the correct subwoofer, so you're not trying to put a W7 on them.
yeah.
Grant, just to get you to chime in, I mean, listen, this is not for every dealer, right? Not every dealer would be able to even sell this type of amplifier. You have to be a certain type of dealer. But what does this mean, for the brand and for the recognition and for every other? I mean, there are so many lines and series of amplifiers within the Mosconi product line, right? From very small to DSP integrated to so on and so forth. So I'd like to hear your thoughts on that, Grant.
Well, the Pro Series is getting the majority of the share anyway, just because, like Chris and the other guys and Nick were saying, compact chassis, big power. Anyone that's had a chance to listen to Nalico's Bronco, and if you haven't, you should go listen to it when you can, the next show or wherever. He's got 6,500 watts of power in that thing, and he's not running the best of the best speakers, but when you leave that vehicle, you're like, yeah, that's what I want in my car. It's accurate, stage is good, all that stuff that the SQ guys like, but holy balls to the wall, can it hit you in the face and kick your ass? Like serious power. The 430, man, it's limited quantity. Chris is taking all the inventory, so Canadians, please buy whatever you can, let what's left over.
Take the sloppy seconds or whatever is left. Yeah. Got it. Okay, let's round this conversation out. Let me start with you, Chris. What does this mean? Is this a real significant step, or are we just overhyping this?
I think it's a significant step if you deal in this type of product and you deal in if you have this type of clientele. I mean, for us, it's a big deal. We've waited and waited for Mosconi to bring out a 4-channel amp and a 2-channel amp in the 30, as they call it, the 30 chassis, for years, and we knew that it was an eventuality that we would get it. And to have something that's a step above, that isn't basically just two 10s thrown in a chassis together, to have something that's a true.
Chris just cut in the middle of his thing. Right in the middle. I was just waiting to hear what he's going to say next. Chris, are you still with us?
I think his Wi-Fi service is skipping.
Yeah, he should be back though. I think what he was saying though, and Nick, maybe you can comment on that, is for years and years, the Pro Series was certainly very attractive. It has its own industrial design, its own following, and so forth. But I think what top level builders like Chris were looking for was that high output multi-channel in that series, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's one of the things that we've always wanted was, like, for instance, there was an amplifier called the AS 200.4. It was 200 watts of channel by 4, and it still is a great amplifier. You can bridge it to 3 channels. You can bridge it to 2 channels. You can weld with the damn thing. And for us to have that kind of power in this small of a chassis that is going to have this unique sound characteristic, this is kind of what we've been looking for. Because you could take this amp, bridge it to 3 channels, drive your front stage, drive a sub, take a 210, drive your rears. You're good to go. You're literally good to go, and throw a 4 to 6 DSP processor in there. You really are good to go.
I was just gonna say, what would you recommend as the DSP processor to go with this type of system?
For me, it's aerospace, either 6-8 aerospace, 8-12 aerospace. When you've got this level of performance, don't skimp. Parts matter, and that's what the difference between an aerospace and a pro DSP. It's the parts. The parts matter, just like in this amplifier. Parts matter.
Fair enough.
So, yeah, absolutely.
Hey, Chris, do we have you back? And if we don't, that's okay.
Apparently not.
Apparently not. That's all right. Last but not least, do we see this as potentially a new trend moving forward? I think Chris hinted at that. As far as new SKUs added to the mix moving forward, that's a loaded gun question, Nick, and I'm throwing it at you.
How do I want to put this? This is not the last of the Pro Series amplifiers we will see this year.
Oh, this year?
That's what we have been. I'm going to be guarded about this. We have been told there is another amplifier coming, and we're going to cross our fingers and say a prayer, and we might see it by the end of the year.
You're not going to give me more than that, are you?
Grant, do I tell him or not? No. Okay.
Your call, man. You can let the cat out of the bag if you want.
There is a design for an 8-channel with a built-in DSP processor.
Now Mosconi's been listening to what's going on.
Oh yeah.
Hopefully there's some decent power behind that too, and not just don't give me a 25 by 8.
No, it's 150 by 8.
Oh geez, no,
that's
not
the target.
4. At 2, not at 4.
No, that's at 4 ohm.
Come on, go on.
That's at 4 ohm.
We're gonna have to rebook another show there, Grant, if that comes out before the end of the year. Let me tell you, we do have the audio file session towards the end of the year. Maybe cross our fingers. Maybe by then we can talk about it. You heard it here first, guys. Nick just let the cat out of the bag. Okay, listen, our time is up, but I think we accomplished what we want to accomplish. I want to thank Chris for coming on when he did and providing that valuable feedback as a dealer, as a specialist, as an expert in the field. The guy obviously sells a ton of high-end gear and puts in a lot of gear in all different types of vehicles and situations, and he's passionate about Mosconi. So that means a lot. That certainly means a lot. Nick, at this time, I'm going to bid you adieu, and I want to thank you again for coming in. And let me know how it works out with let me know when you get the amps and what happens with your truck. That's what I want to know about.
I will. Grant will know. Trust me. He'll hear me all the way to Canada.
Sounds good. Have a good one, sir. Take care.
Thanks, guys. Take care.
So, Grant, it's not every day we get that type of lineup and that type of feedback. What are your thoughts, especially what Chris said?
Well, can you show the slide thing here? I just want to show you guys. This guy is crazy.
Yeah,
fantastic shop, amazing. But when they say they do a lot of amplifiers, like I get jealous with just looking at the pictures because it's not a couple, it's a lot.
It's so. I'll tell you what makes it so interesting for me. I'll tell you what. But you know what? For years and years, right, growing up in car audio, it was always about the American power, right, the American amps. And here it is, a guy out of Texas, top of level, putting in Italian, what looks like fashion design amplifiers, but backing it up, saying that they're that kind of power. Just saying, it's an interesting scenario, right?
Yeah, hard to beat that kind of acknowledgement for sure.
Very, very much so. Last message from Grant from Trends for dealers who tuned in today. Obviously, Mosconi-America.com if you want to find out all about the new amps. The new amp information is not quite up there yet, but it will be soon enough. Last message that you have for dealers tuning in. Grant?
We'll have a few posts throughout the day of the show, so we're gonna highlight the Pro 430 obviously, and anyone that wants to pre-order one, we will. And I would advise you to take them quick before Mr. Pate buys another 10 of them, and then we're down to none. So
exactly.
If you want to get them a try, call up one of our reps. We'll be glad to get you out a current model or whatever you want to do. Put it on your board, like Chris was saying. Give it a shot. Give it a shot out against anybody else on your board, and we're pretty confident that we'll win the battle.
Trendsinc.com. Get a hold of Grant and his team, and get you some Mosconi and put it up. Do the challenge, like Chris has put up. Do the challenge. Check it out. Grant, that was an awesome one. Bring more stuff like this. This is always fun. You have more?
Thanks, buddy.
You always have more. I can't wait for the next one. It's gonna be
We
fun.
got more coming.
All right, Grant. Take care, man.
Thanks, buddy. See ya.
So that was Nick Wingate from Mosconi, as well as Grant from Trends, and of course Chris Pate from MTI. I want to thank all those guys for coming on today, having some fun, talking some new product in that new 4 channel 430 from Mosconi coming soon. Looking forward to hear more about that. All right, need to let you know about this awesome contest we've got going on in collaboration with 5-Axis Innovations. It's your chance to win a custom interactive sound damping display. 5-Axis is going to go ahead and make one with your own shop name and the sound damping material of your choice, ship it right to you. All you got to do is go to the CMA Network's Facebook page to find out more and comment your shop and where you're located. And the winner will be drawn on our next roundtable show on Wednesday, June 8th. I want to remind you to continue tuning in to CMA Networks right through till June 14th, Tuesday, June 14th. In fact, for the car audio sessions, it's the next roster of premier brands in the category, as we'll be breaking them out for you one day at a time, one brand at a time, right through till June 14th. And last but not least, reminding you to make sure you visit our brand new redesigned website, cmanetworks.com, where you can search for your favorite content, either through brand, through category, or even your favorite trainer. Hit up my man, Nick Wingate. He's got his own page on the site, and you can see every video that we've had the opportunity to do with him. That's it. Thanks for tuning into this CMA Showcase presented by SiriusXM. I'm your host, Ben Wu. Until next time, we connect.
I mean, yeah, let's talk about
Stop
today where I'm gonna go
Yo,
topics.
roll it down.
I am.
You don't need a car to listen to SiriusXM. You can listen anywhere. You know that, right?
What? Kevin Hart's Laugh Out Loud Radio.
Kevin, you could use your phone.
What? What?
Alexa, play Kevin Hart's Laugh Out Loud Radio on SiriusXM.
What?
This is how I know you're getting old. I guess that was it.
What?